Good evening, my friend. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to rush, nothing you need to finish, and no reason to hurry. The world outside can continue at its own pace while, for a little while, we wander together into a much quieter one. So, settle into your favorite sleeping position. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing become slow and gentle. Imagine a tiny flame dancing inside an ancient home. There is no refrigerator humming in the corner, no microwave beeping. No electric lights filling every room. Instead, the warm glow of a fire quietly fills the space, painting soft golden colors across clay walls and wooden beams. For thousands of years, this simple fire was the heart of almost every home. Tonight, we will discover what ordinary people ate before modern kitchens existed. We will visit peaceful villages, quiet farms, busy marketplaces, and cozy cottages where every meal required patience, skill, and a little creativity. There are no loud adventures waiting for us, only warm bread, gentle stories, and the comforting rhythm of everyday life. So close your eyes if you like, and let us begin. Long before shiny metal ovens, gas stoves, or kitchen cabinets, preparing a meal was very different. In fact, many ancient homes didn't even have a room that we would recognize as a kitchen. Cooking happened wherever warmth could safely be found. Sometimes it was a simple fire pit dug into the earth. Sometimes it was a stone hearth in the middle of a house. Sometimes families cooked outdoors beneath the open sky. The fire was precious. It gave warmth during cold nights, provided light after sunset, and transformed simple grains and vegetables into filling meals. Because starting a fire wasn't always easy, many families tried to keep it burning day and night. Someone in the household would quietly add another piece of wood before the last ember faded away. The fire became almost like another family member, always there, always waiting, always useful. Now imagine waking before sunrise in a small medieval village. The morning air feels cool. A rooster crows somewhere nearby. Smoke begins rising gently from dozens of tiny cottages. Inside one of them, a woman carefully stirs a large clay pot hanging above the fire. Inside the pot is porridge, simple, warm, comforting. For many families across Europe, porridge was breakfast almost every single day. It might be made from oats, or barley, or rye. Sometimes wheat if the family was fortunate enough to grow it. Water was added first, sometimes milk. The grains slowly softened as they simmered for hours. There was no rush. Meals often cooked slowly while everyone worked nearby. A little honey might sweeten the bowl, perhaps a handful of berries gathered from nearby woods, maybe chopped apples during autumn. Nothing was wasted. Every season offered different gifts. Travel farther south to ancient Egypt. The mighty Nile River quietly flows through rich green fields. Here, bread filled nearly every table. Egyptians became wonderful bakers thousands of years before modern kitchens. Large clay ovens baked hundreds of loaves every day. Bread wasn't always soft like today's sandwich bread. Some loaves were round, others long and narrow. Some included herbs. Others contained dates, figs, sesame seeds, or fragrant spices. Workers building temples often received bread as part of their daily payment. Bread wasn't simply food, it was part of everyday life itself. Alongside bread came onions, garlic, beans. Fresh fish from the Nile, sometimes cucumbers or leafy greens from riverside gardens. Meals were surprisingly simple. But they were nourishing enough to support one of history's greatest civilizations. Across the Mediterranean, in ancient Rome, the kitchen looked quite different. Many ordinary families lived in apartment buildings. These buildings often had very small cooking spaces, or none at all. Open fires inside crowded apartments could be dangerous. So many Romans bought ready-made food from small neighborhood shops. Imagine walking along a stone street early in the morning. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the air. A vendor quietly ladles warm bean stew into a clay bowl. Nearby, another merchant sells olives, cheese, and dried fruit. Someone else offers warm flatbread still fresh from the oven. In many ways, these ancient food stalls were early versions of today's cafes. Simple, friendly, convenient. Even 2,000 years ago, busy people appreciated an easy meal. Far away in ancient China, another peaceful morning begins. Rice quietly steams inside bamboo baskets. The soft white grains become the center of nearly every meal. Families gather around low wooden tables. Bowls are small, meals are shared. Vegetables, tofu, leafy greens, mushrooms, and fish appear in simple combinations, cooking focused on balance. Not too much, not too little, different flavors gently complemented one another. soybeans became sauces, tea warmed cold mornings, fresh herbs added delicate aromas. Every ingredient had its season. Every season had its favorite foods. Nature decided the menu. People simply followed along. Now let us visit an ancient farming village somewhere in northern Europe. Outside, sheep quietly graze. Chickens wander freely. A small vegetable garden grows beside every cottage. Life here depends almost entirely on what can be grown nearby. The dinner table changes throughout the year. Spring offers fresh herbs. Summer brings peas and beans. Autumn fills baskets with apples and root vegetables. Winter asks everyone to rely upon foods carefully preserved months earlier. Cabbages become fermented, fish are salted, meat is smoked, fruit dries slowly above warm fireplaces. Nothing disappears, everything finds another purpose. People became remarkably skilled at making food last, not because it was fashionable, but because winter always arrived eventually. Imagine stepping inside one of these cottages as evening falls. A black iron pot hangs above glowing embers. Inside, vegetables quietly bubble together. Carrots, turnips, leeks, onions, beans, perhaps a little barley. Maybe a small piece of smoked meat if the family has been especially fortunate. Stew becomes the perfect meal. Each day, new ingredients are added. Yesterday's leftovers blend naturally into today's dinner. The flavors grow deeper with time. No recipes are written down. Everyone simply knows. A pinch of this, a handful of that, a little patience. And eventually dinner is ready. There are no plastic containers, no canned soup, no frozen meals waiting inside freezers. Everything begins with raw ingredients gathered by hand. Grinding grain into flour might take hours. Fetching water requires walking to a nearby well. Collecting firewood becomes part of daily life. Cooking itself often lasts much longer than eating. Yet perhaps that slower rhythm gave meals a special meaning. Food wasn't hurried. Preparing dinner became part of the day's quiet routine. Children helped gather herbs. Grandparents peeled vegetables. Neighbors exchanged fresh eggs for bread. The entire village participated, in small ways, in feeding one another. As darkness slowly settles over the village, the fires burn lower. Wood gently crackles. The final bowls of warm stew are shared. Someone slices the last piece of bread. A child quietly yawns after a long day spent outdoors. Outside, the stars begin appearing one by one above silent rooftops. Inside each home, simple food has filled empty stomachs. Nothing fancy, nothing extravagant. Just honest meals made with care, patience, and the gifts of the changing seasons. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps it always was. The evening fire is still glowing softly. The warm pot resting above the embers continues to bubble gently, filling the little house with the comforting smell of herbs and fresh bread. Outside, the village has become quiet once again. Only the distant sound of an owl, a gentle breeze through the trees, and the occasional crackle of burning would keep us company. Take another slow, comfortable breath. Tonight, our peaceful journey continues as we visit more kitchens, or rather, homes that existed long before kitchens became rooms of their own. Many people imagine that kings and queens always enjoyed enormous feasts every day. While grand celebrations certainly happened, ordinary royal meals were often much calmer than we might expect. In medieval castles, the day usually began with simple bread, cheese, butter, and warm ale or watered wine. Fresh fruit appeared whenever the season allowed. The great kitchens of a castle were busy places. Huge fireplaces stretched across entire walls. Several cooks worked together while young helpers carried water, chopped vegetables, and turned heavy spits where meat roasted slowly above glowing coals. Unlike modern kitchens filled with machines, every task depended on human hands. Grinding spices, mixing dough, sharpening knives, carrying wood, cleaning pots, everything took time. The wonderful smell of roasting onions, herbs, fresh bread, and slow-cooked meat drifted through the castle halls, long before dinner was ready. Even so, many meals remained surprisingly familiar. Warm soups, stews, fresh bread, seasonal vegetables, simple pies. The richest ingredients were usually saved for celebrations, while ordinary days remained peaceful and practical. Now let us quietly sail north across calm seas toward a Viking village. The houses are built from wood and covered with thick grass roofs. Smoke curls gently through openings above the hearth. Inside, everyone gathers around one central fire. The Vikings are often remembered for their voyages, but most spent much of their lives farming. Their meals reflected the land around them. Barley porridge, fresh fish, goat's milk, cheese, cabbage, turnips, wild berries gathered during summer. When autumn arrived, families dried apples and berries for the long winter ahead. Fish hung from wooden racks where cool winds slowly preserved them. Nothing was hurried. Preparing enough food for winter was a patient task shared by the entire family. Children helped collect mushrooms, older relatives sorted herbs, neighbors exchanged butter for grain or fish for honey. Food connected everyone. Now imagine a peaceful village in ancient India, thousands of years ago. The morning sun warms fields of rice and millet, while clay pots sit above small wood fires. The air carries the gentle fragrance of cumin, coriander, ginger, and turmeric. These spices were not used simply for flavor. People believed many of them helped keep the body balanced and healthy. Fresh lentils simmer slowly into comforting dals. Flatbreads puff gently over hot stones. Rice cooks quietly inside clay pots. Fresh yogurt cools nearby. Families often shared meals while sitting together on woven mats. Many dishes contained vegetables grown only a short walk from home: pumpkins, eggplants, spinach, green beans, fresh herbs. Meals celebrated the changing seasons. No one expected strawberries during winter or pumpkins during spring. Nature decided what appeared on every plate. Long before refrigerators, people became masters of preserving food. Imagine a cool stone cellar beneath a farmhouse. Wooden barrels line the walls. Inside one barrel rests salted fish. Another contains fermented cabbage. Clay jars hold dried beans. Bundles of herbs hang upside down from wooden beams: garlic, thyme, rosemary, mint. As warm summer air slowly passes through the room, these herbs dry naturally, ready to flavor meals many months later. Without electricity, every season required careful planning. Summer was not only a time for eating fresh food, it was also a season of preparing for winter. Families worked together, quietly storing enough supplies until spring returned once again. Sweet desserts also looked very different. There were no chocolate bars, no packaged cookies, no ice cream waiting inside freezers. Instead, sweetness came from nature: fresh honey, ripe figs, dates. Apples, pears, wild berries, sometimes nuts were mixed with honey into simple treats. Sometimes fruit was gently baked inside bread. These desserts were modest but deeply satisfying. Because sweet ingredients were precious, every bite felt special. Perhaps one of the most fascinating places in medieval villages was the communal oven. Many homes had no large oven of their own. Instead, an entire village shared one. Early each morning, families arrived carrying dough wrapped inside cloth. One by one, fresh loaves disappeared into the warm stone oven. While waiting, neighbors talked quietly. Children played nearby. News spread naturally from family to family. The smell of baking bread filled the air for hours. By afternoon, everyone walked home carrying warm loaves beneath their arms. Simple moments like these helped build strong communities. Bread was more than food, it became something shared. As evening slowly returns once again, imagine sitting beside one final fire. A wooden bowl rests in your hands. Inside is warm vegetable soup with herbs picked only yesterday. Beside it lies a piece of freshly baked bread, still carrying the comforting warmth of the oven. There are no phones, no clocks demanding attention, only quiet conversation, gentle firelight, and the peaceful rhythm of ordinary life. Across thousands of years, kitchens have changed beyond recognition. Today we cook with electricity, gas, refrigerators, mixers, ovens, and countless helpful tools. Yet the heart of every meal has remained surprisingly familiar. People have always gathered together, shared stories, passed bread from one hand to another, celebrated harvests, comforted one another during difficult seasons, and found joy in simple food prepared with patience and care. As the fire grows smaller, the last glowing embers gently fade into soft red light. Outside, stars quietly fill the night sky. The village has fallen asleep. The baker rests after a long day's work. The farmer closes the wooden gate. The children dream peacefully beneath warm blankets. Tomorrow another loaf of bread will rise. Another pot of stew will simmer. Another peaceful day will begin. But for now, there is nothing more to do. Simply breathe slowly. Let your thoughts drift like gentle smoke rising